everyone. I'm Cathilea Robinett, President and CEO of eRepublic, the parent company of Governing Magazine. We are starting a new series where we're featuring the 2025 Governing Public Officials of the Year. For over 25 years, we have been selecting and celebrating those individuals who are truly making government better. We hope that you enjoy these conversations. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by the Connecticut Attorney General, William Tong. First of all, congratulations on your big award.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the incredible recognition. I'm humbled, and I'm glad we get a chance to have a video conversation.
I know, me too. And secondly, I'm just so excited to meet you today. I've been doing this for a very long time, and your profile and your accomplishments just make my job feel great. So
thank you.
So let's just dig right in here. I think, the first thing that I want to know is what motivated you to go into public service in the first place?
What motivates me every day still is my experience growing up in my parents' Chinese restaurant. My parents are both immigrants. They came here with nothing. They met in a Chinese restaurant, and they ran a restaurant for most of my childhood. And starting in 6th grade, 7th grade, business started to go in the wrong direction. There's too much competition for Chinese food in the mid to late 80s. So
now, are you in Connecticut at this point? Where
yes,
are you?
I'm in Connecticut, born and raised. And so my parents did the only thing that immigrant small business owners can do. They called on their children. So I worked side by side with my parents in that restaurant. And there was a door in the kitchen, and it swung in and out. It's what the waiters and waitresses went through. There's a window, like a diamond plexiglass window. And I remember walking by that door hundreds of times a night while I'm working with my parents in the kitchen, doing every job in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, washing dishes. And I remember looking through that window and seeing a lot of happy families enjoying their Friday night, Saturday night dinner, which I'm grateful for. I wouldn't be here but for our customers who played such an important role, obviously, in paying for my education and enabling me to have the opportunities that I've had. But I was always keenly aware that there were these people that didn't look like me enjoying their dinner. And I wondered if they knew how hard my parents were working in the kitchen, and if they thought about us, if they saw us. And I just always wanted to kick in that door, literally, and say to those folks and show them, look, Addie and Nancy Tong are back here working really hard. And when you watch your parents fight hard and suffer, because they do suffer when they work 7 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day. You just want other people to recognize how hard they're working, and you want to fight for people like my parents, working people. So that drives me every day. It's a big part of who I am, and it's why I decided to help other people and serve.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for that. That is such a great story. I think it's so interesting because you've taken on such big cases, you've clinched some big ones, and I actually have to brag about you to everyone right now a little bit because, you led the charge in a $6 billion settlement against Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family. Then you helped lead a bipartisan coalition of 47 states in another opioid settlement, and you helped close the state's longest standing desegregation case. Can you talk about that? What is that about you that has made you so successful? Obviously, you just talked about your past, but how have you accomplished these things? What are some of your secrets here to your success?
Yeah, a couple things. One is, in the opioids case and Purdue Pharma and the Sacklers, that's just one piece of a larger effort. When I became Attorney General, we hadn't recovered any money from the opioid and addiction industry. Now the states have recovered more than $50 billion. And actually from Purdue Pharma and the Sacklers, It's more than six, it's $7.4 billion dollars. But it's not about the money. I met two moms, Christine Gagnon and Liz Fitzgerald, who between the two of them lost three sons. And, I'm sure we know somebody in our community, somebody who's a friend, someone in our family who is either suffering from addiction or we've lost to addiction. For me, it was an intern named Mike Taylor many years ago, a young man who obviously we lost way too soon. So they 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 give me the motivation and the will to fight for them every single day. But I think we're able to produce these results and in many ways resolve these cases because of my training as a lawyer and because I think at the end of the day, government is about problem solving. And if you lose sight of the end goal, which is to address a problem and produce results for people, often people who are hurting and who are suffering. I use that word a lot, but it's where people are a lot, especially in the opioid and addiction crisis. If you're if you're focused on a resolution and getting something done and accomplished that will help people, then I think that's your always sort of your lodestar, right? It's what you should focus on and not lose the forest from the trees. Sometimes people are too enamored of the fight. I like a good fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm an attorney general. That's like
Right, right.
DNA. But I also like a good resolution, and that's why we're able um, to bring a lot of these cases and investigations to a close and produce good results for people. Not perfect. No case, no settlement is ever perfect. And I guess if everybody's a little bit unhappy, you've done a good job.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way of putting it. Well,
Yeah,
congratulations on
thank
all
you.
that. We're always asked why. Why was this person a public official of the year? And I think one of those things that really stood out to us was in these polarized times that we're in, you really have a commitment to bipartisanship. And I love that. I think we need more people like you today. So why is bipartisanship so important to you and how did that come about for you?
No, it's the only way things get done. And it's a recognition that we're all in this together. We are a union of 50 sovereign states who come together by our consent in a federation known as the United States of America. And a federation doesn't work unless we're all working hard together and we're committed to holding it together. And I think it comes from my training as a legislator, a state legislator. I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and before that, chairman of the Banking Committee. And the most important person on a committee, a legislative committee, if you're the chairman, is the ranking member. The most important person is the leader of the opposition, right? In my case, the Republican ranking member on the Judiciary Committee, who was Rosa Rabimbis. She's now a probate judge. And we didn't agree on a lot of things. We had very strong and spirited disagreements, but she had an important voice that I had to respect. I, of course, had the gavel, which she had to respect, and we had to try to find to make it work so that the committee could do its work. And I always valued that relationship. And then fast forward to now, in your statement about the award in Governing Magazine, you quoted Chris Kobach, who's the
Yeah.
Attorney General of Kansas. Now, I think if Chris were here, he would say there's a great many things we disagree on, and I would agree with that. But we've become fast friends, and part of that's because we like hanging out. We like pheasant hunting together. We've done it a couple times, but I think he knows and I know that in order for this to work, we have to at some level be on the same page, right? At some level, we have to be committed to this enterprise of Connecticut and Kansas working together. We have to work together, frankly, to hold the union together. And there's no magic hand from on high that's going to say Texas and California and Connecticut and Vermont, New Hampshire, you shall work together and I'm going to make you do it. I mean, obviously, you're watching what's happening in Washington. It's very hard sometimes for people to get together and get in the same room and figure things out. But at the end of the day, it's about people of good faith and Chris and me and other AGs finding a way to work together on matters of common concern for our states as a model for how the rest of the country should conduct itself.
Yeah, well, that's why we're out here in the state and local business, right? We believe, so much gets done here. You know, you had a great quote, and it goes along with what you were just saying. So you said everybody has a role and a responsibility to hold our country together. It requires people of good faith saying, I see why this issue is important to you. Here's why it's important to me. Let's come together and do something about it. So that's your point of view. How come people don't do this more often?
Um, a couple things. One is I think we need to do a better job of civic education and helping people understand that the United States doesn't just happen on its own.
Right.
It requires effort. I often say that we arrogate to self-government, and I use that word very intentionally. We think we can do it. And it's really hard when people have so many different experiences and come from so many different perspectives. And what people don't understand is that government is one big honor system. You know, it only works if everybody plays by the rules and the federal government respects states, states respect the federal government, cities and towns do their thing. I mean, it only works, and then public officials have to play by the rules and act with honor and integrity. And if you don't do that, then it breaks down. The system
Right.
breaks down because sure, there's police, but basically there's no like big hand on high to make us do it. We all have to buy in to following the rules. And so I think people have undervalued how important it is that they be a part of this and that they participate in whatever way they can and that they take responsibility for what happens in government. I hear a lot about term limits, for example. And we could debate term limits, but there's a built-in term limit in every office. They're called elections.
Right, right.
Right? And at the end of the day, I strongly believe that we get the government that we deserve because we pick these people. And if you don't like what William Tong is doing as Attorney General, then you can vote me out of office or you can run against me. And I just think people have lost sight of how important it is our personal ownership and responsibility is of self-government because it really is self-government. It's as you know, government doesn't exist in some fourth dimension, right?
Yeah.
It's state legislators, it's mayors and first selectmen, it's speakers and senate presidents, and if we don't show up and do our jobs and do it well, bad things happen.
Yeah. And we're counting on good things to happen here. And we're hoping that good things happen here as
Yeah.
citizens of the US. So finally, as we wrap up, is there anything else with all your success that you'd want to share, not only with other attorneys general, but also other public officials? What are some of those key points that keep you going, or phrases or campaigns in your mind that you'd
Yeah.
like to share with others?
Two things. One is just to pick up on the last question you asked. The other thing I should have talked about is it's really important in this day and age, particularly in social media and the breakdown of local journalism, that we focus on finding ways to disseminate and for people to consume good information. Now, someone might object to my statement about there being good information and bad information, but I mean facts, science,
Mhm.
journalism that's based on journalistic ethics and reporting and integrity. I just think that one of the problems with social media and the internet age is there's so much misinformation and disinformation out there. that all of us need to work harder to make sure that people exercise their rights in self-government with full information and good information, quality information. So that's one of the reasons why we've sued the social media companies, because we're really concerned about the quality of that information, that it's not good information.
Right.
The thing I would say to my fellow public officials is relationships are everything. I don't know what is going to happen 5 years or 10 years from now. What I do know is that my fellow attorneys general and I, maybe not me and maybe not Chris Kobach, but some combination of us is going to be in public service in some different configuration. Maybe some of us will still be AGs, some of us will be governors, some of us will be senators, some of us will be lobbyists. There'll be some combination of us doing different things. And this relationship that we have built with each other is going to make a huge difference. At some point in the future, when we need to pick up the phone and call each other and have a conversation about an issue that matters to both of us. And so, what I would say to my fellow public officials is please focus on those relationships. Know that they're important, build on them. And I think if we do that, we're going to be all right.
Well, I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be
Thank
with
you.
me today. Congratulations again as a governing public official of the year. I really admire and respect everything that you're doing and look for great things in the future.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. I'm grateful.
Thank you.